Chapter 7. Over the next couple of days, the two boys spent more and more time together, slowly falling into a rhythm. They would meet up sometime after breakfast in one of their rooms, or in the newly refurnished sitting room, for a game of wizard's chess or just to hang out and talk. Harry still lost every game, but thanks to Draco giving him pointers and explaining a few things, he actually got better. Lunch usually meant sandwiches in the sitting room, sometimes with Sirius and Remus or with Andromeda when she came to visit. After that, Harry spent time with his godfather if Sirius wasn't busy with order work, but he usually met Draco again before dinner. Both found that talking to each other got easier and made them feel better. Harry learned more about Draco's childhood, the mad rants of Lucius about pure-blood superiority, his high expectations of Draco, and how easily he lost his temper. In turn, Harry told him about growing up with the Dursleys, who treated him like dirt, made him do all the work around the house, and allowed Dudley and his gang to bully him. They were so different, the pureblood boy growing up in a mansion with his strict Death Eater father and the orphan raised by prejudiced Muggle relatives, and yet they had so much in common. Draco was really surprised how well he suddenly got along with Potter. He had told him things he'd never told anyone before. A little guiltily, he realized he'd never given Harry a chance. His father hated Harry because he'd been the Dark Lord's downfall, so naturally it was expected that Draco hate him as well. But that wasn't all. If he was completely honest with himself, he had to admit he'd always envied Potter. He was famous and had people fawning over him all the time. And no matter what life threw at him, he always emerged the winner, admired by all, doted on by Dumbledore himself. It seemed that Harry could do no wrong. Of course, Draco now realized that Harry hated all that fame, and that there was nothing glorious about all the near-death experiences and being hunted by Voldemort all his life. And he'd had his fair share of trouble thanks to the Daily Prophet in the last 2 years. When Harry told him how hard it really been for him, when almost no one wanted to believe him that the Dark Lord had returned, Draco felt bad for his petty jealousy. And it wasn't only the jealousy. There was still the fact that he hadn't wanted to shake Draco's hand on the Hogwarts Express when they had been 11. Realizing how stupid it was to hold a grudge for something so trivial for nearly 5 years, he finally decided to talk to Harry about it. "Was that why you wouldn't shake my hand on the Hogwarts Express? Because I was acting like an arrogant, spoiled prat?" he asked one day, after Harry made a comment about his arrogance. Draco had just bragged about his talent at wizard's chess. The dark-haired boy blinked, surprised at the question. "I think so, yeah," he finally answered. "I mean, I didn't really have a very high opinion of you after our first meeting in Madame Malkin's and all the stuff you said there. And then you come into our compartment acting all snooty and aloof, and you insulted Ron, who was the first friend I've ever had. Back in my old school, I had no friends. My cousin made sure of that," he explained. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I had never met one of the Weasleys before. I just acted like my father had taught me." He used to rant about how they were the worst kind of wizards, and so far below us amazing Malfoys, elite of wizard kind. Harry grinned at the exaggeration. He was actually starting to enjoy Draco's wry sense of humor and his little insults, now that they were no longer directed at him. "I was never allowed to choose my own friends. My father always decided who I was allowed to associate with," the blonde let him know. "So, if it was up to you, you wouldn't have chosen Crabbe and Goyle?" Harry asked with a smirk. Draco rolled his eyes. "Are you kidding me? You have no idea how tiresome it is to have those two stupid elves following you around all the time. They can't even think for themselves, but there's no getting rid of them. Their fathers put them up to it. And Pansy Parkinson is always trying to get into my pants because I'm a Malfoy and therefore top of her list of eligible pureblood boys. But hey, maybe that'll stop now. My father disowned me, did I tell you that? So there's nothing more to be gained by sucking up to me." He sounded bitter, and Harry once more felt the urge to hug him, but he didn't dare, not sure how Draco would react. "You must have some real friends," he muttered instead. Draco shrugged. "Blaze, maybe? We got along fine, and his family's against the Dark Lord, but they're still purebloods. I'll have to wait and see how he acts when school starts again. And Millicent Bulstrode's pretty nice." "Oh, don't look at me like that. I meant her personality, not her looks," he amended, and Harry had to stifle a grin. "My father didn't really want me to associate with her. He only tolerated it because the Slytherin girls usually band together. She was part of Pansy's gang." Suddenly another thought occurred to Harry. "Will you be okay next term in Slytherin? I mean, Crabbe and Goyle's fathers are Death Eaters, right? Do you think they might hurt you?" It was weird to be worried about his former arch-nemesis' safety, but things had changed. He liked Draco now. A lot, actually. "Crabbe and Goyle are stupid. Even if they wanted to hurt me, they wouldn't succeed, and most of the girls wouldn't try anything at Hogwarts with Dumbledore so close," the blonde mused. "I think the only ones I'll have to look out for are Pansy and Nott. Theo hates me, and believe me, the feeling's mutual." We only pretended to get along because our fathers insisted on it. I'm pretty sure he's going to try something now, but I can look after myself," he assured. When Harry looked unconvinced, he added with a smirk, "Who would have thought you'd be so concerned for my well-being?" Harry shrugged. "Well, you're still an arrogant prick, but you've grown on me," he shot back with a grin.